Serena Williams, 23 Grand Slam titles, a body built on years of discipline, grit, and resilience. And now she's in vogue, openly saying she used a GLP-1 drug after pregnancy. If one of the most disciplined and decorated athletes of our time turns to taking these drugs, what does that really mean for the rest of us? Is this empowerment? Or is it just another shortcut being sold to us under the disguise of health? Welcome back to the Get Buff with Reets podcast, where we don't shy away from controversial topics. And today we're diving into one of the biggest conversations in health and fitness right now: Serena Williams and GLP-1s. I'm Reets, and today's going to be one of those episodes where we ruffle feathers, because I've been in this industry long enough to see trends come and go. And right now, GLP-1 is absolutely everywhere. Celebrities are endorsing it, companies are making absolute millions, probably billions. Women are left wondering, should I be on this too? So let's break it down. Why GLP-1s can be beneficial for some people, life-changing even. Why Serena is saying it's not a shortcut isn't the full truth, and why the normalization of these drugs could be more harmful than helpful. Let's start with what GLP-1s really are. You've probably heard the name Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro. First and foremost, these drugs were created to treat diabetes and then also obesity. And let's be brutally honest here. For people that do struggle with obesity, these drugs can really be a lifeline. And I'm talking about clinically obese here, not just overweight. We're talking about things like reducing appetite, improving blood sugar control, lowering the risk of heart disease. In some cases, these drugs don't just help people lose weight, but they can actually help people save their own lives. So yes, GLP-1s definitely have a place. For some women, they're not a shortcut, they really are the only option. And I want to make that distinction abundantly clear. Being clinically obese, obesity, is a medical condition. But now, here's the problem. Serena Williams is not your average woman that's suffering with clinical obesity, walking into her GP asking for help. Serena has a team, a huge team of qualified professionals around her. Dietitians, trainers, recovery specialists, private doctors monitoring every biomarker in her blood. So when she says she's on GLP-1s, that's a completely different reality to most women that are taking these drugs. It's a completely different reality for the woman that sees Serena and thinks, oh, if she's doing this, maybe I should too. That woman doesn't have a chef preparing her meals or a doctor looking at her biomarkers and her bloods, ensuring nothing's being damaged in her body. She doesn't have a coach programming her training. So when Serena says in that Vogue interview, this wasn't a shortcut, I have to call it out. Because for 99% of people, this is absolutely a shortcut. It's skipping the hard part, which is really the habit change. It's outsourcing the discomfort and pretending otherwise. That's misleading. And hold on a moment. Here's another piece of the puzzle that Serena didn't put emphasis on. She's not just any woman. She is a world-class decorated athlete. For her entire life, she has trained at an intensity that most of us can't even imagine. Her daily energy expenditure would have been insane. hours of training, drills, conditioning, recovery sessions, day in and day out. That's what you expect from someone that's at the top of their sport. But then she retired. The daily grind of elite training stops. The intensity drops. And here's the thing, your body doesn't just flip a switch when that happens. It can't just stop, switch, and adjust. Your appetite isn't going to change overnight. Your brain doesn't suddenly say, hey, we're not burning 4,000 calories a day anymore, so let's eat less. That regulation won't happen overnight, especially after years, decades in this case, of training. So what you end up with is this mismatch. The body now is suddenly burning less, but the appetite is still driving like you're at the peak of training. So that was what Serena's real challenge was. It's not a weakness, it's not laziness, it's just biology. And what she needed was better support navigating this time and this adjustment. How to fuel differently, how to train differently, how to adjust her routines. And like I said before, Serena's surrounded by a team that could have absolutely done this for her, that could have helped her navigate this. But instead, she turned to GLP-1s. And honestly, that's the part that truly frustrates me, because this wasn't about lack of discipline, lack of knowledge. It's really just about lack of guidance for a completely different phase of life. Yes, of course, that would have been overwhelming, but it was an adjustment that she chose it was time to make. And here's something most people aren't talking about. The company Serena got her GLP-1 drug from, R-O, isn't just some random online clinic. No. Her husband, Alexis Ohanian, is an investor on their board. So let's ask the uncomfortable question here, the elephant in the room. Is this really just Serena sharing her personal health journey with Vogue, or is this a PR stunt? After dropping the interview with Vogue, she confirmed that she is now an ambassador for the company. Because here is the truth. Every single headline, every article, every conversation about Serena being on GLP-1 doesn't just destigmatize the drug, it directly benefits the company that her husband is tied to, and now that she is also tied to, which means they profit from it. And that's where I think we need to be really careful. When one of the most influential athletes in the world normalizes something, women will listen, they buy in, they follow. And if there's money behind that influence, is it about empowerment or is it solely about profit now? And let's not forget, we don't even know the long-term effect of these drugs when used in weight loss. They haven't been around long enough for us to do substantial studies 20, 30, 40 years from now. And already lawsuits are stacking up in the US against the companies behind them, behind these very drugs. Women are reporting stomach paralysis, severe gastrointestinal issues, in some cases permanent damage. These aren't little side effects like nausea, they're life-altering complications. So here's the part that shocked me most. I wanted to see for myself how easy it is to access these drugs here in the UK. So I tried it. 12 multiple choice questions on an online form. That's all. I filled them out in less than 2 minutes, and I could purchase the drug if I wanted to. No face-to-face consultation, no one verifying the information that I typed in, no one checking my actual medical history. Just tick some boxes, boom, access granted. All you have to ensure is that you have a high enough BMI. That's not difficult. And that's terrifying, because if these drugs really do carry these risks, which we know they do, and the companies behind them say they do, why are they this accessible? Why is something so powerful and potentially dangerous being handed out without the proper checks and also without being monitored? Serena has world-class doctors monitoring her. In fact, she has the very company dispensing the drug monitoring her. But the everyday woman, she's left navigating this on her own, with no real support system if something does go wrong. That's the part that no one's talking about. There was even a box on the form that said, "Would you like us to share this with your GP?" Now, out of embarrassment, there'll be a large percentage of women that tick no. How is that safe? We know the risk of GLP-1 drugs isn't just nausea and stomach cramps. One of the biggest dangers that no one is talking about, that we have seen really clearly in celebrities, is muscle loss. But why does that matter? So, when you drop weight quickly, especially on these drugs, it's not just fat that you're losing. So, anyone that loses weight very quickly is losing that weight by breaking down their fat, but also their muscle. And now, for women, especially as we get older, we rely on that lean muscle mass even more. As we're moving through things like perimenopause, menopause, losing muscle can be one of the worst things that can possibly happen, because muscle isn't just about looking toned. Muscle is essentially your body's armor. It keeps your metabolism healthy, it supports your joints, it protects your bones. It helps you strong enough to carry your shopping, climb the stairs, or play with your kids or grandkids without being in pain. And if you lose too much muscle, the risks are real. More broken bones as we age. I'm talking things like your hips, slower recovery if you do get injured, and a much higher chance of frailty later in life. Here's the part that frustrates me. These drugs are being marketed in a way where they are geared more towards women than men. And what's the message? Shrink, be smaller, take up less space. It's the same tired old story women have had pushed upon us time and time again. Just this time, it's being branded with a new pharmaceutical shiny label. So, yes, GLP-1 might move the scale down, but it leaves you weaker, with less muscle, and more vulnerable to health problems now later in life. That's not empowerment, that's a trap. And we need to stop pretending otherwise. Celebrities are normalising GLP-1s. Oprah openly said that she used the weight loss drug. Amy Schumer has talked about her personal experience with it. Rosie O'Donnell too. And now Serena. And I get it, transparency is powerful. It's refreshing to hear celebrities be honest about what they're doing and what they're taking. But here's the flip side. It creates pressure. It makes women think, if Serena needed this, what chance do I have without it? When celebrities make choices, they're not just making decisions for themselves. They're shaping the culture. They're influencing millions of women who don't have the same access or resources that they do. They don't have the same safety net. And then the moral question becomes, is it responsible to glamorize these drugs when the reality for most people isn't the same? In fact, it's completely different. So here's my controversial take. Training and nutrition are still the foundation for most women. No, for all women. That's not me being anti-medication. That's exactly what the medical guidelines say. Lifestyle has to come first. For those who qualify, GLP-1s can be an adjunct, but they don't replace training, nutrition, sleep, or stress management. A jab in the stomach doesn't teach you how to correctly fuel your body. It doesn't teach you how to lift weights and build and retain muscle. It doesn't teach you how to manage stress or how to stop self-sabotaging when life gets tough. Those things still matter. Those things decide whether you feel strong, confident, and capable in your body. Serena says it wasn't a shortcut. I completely disagree. It was. And that doesn't make her weak or wrong or less of a role model. But let's call it what it is and look at the motivators behind it. So, what can we really take away from this? GLP-1s can be life-saving in some cases. In those cases of clinical obesity where people don't have any other choice. But they're not a magic bullet. They come with risks. Unknowns, and they're being normalized in a way that might not be healthy for women. And here's what I want you to know. Strong women aren't defined by a prescription. They're defined by their consistency, their resilience, and their willingness to own their health. Celebrities can make their choices. They have different motivators and different pressures to most people. But don't let their decision dictate yours. If you've been feeling the pressure and you've wondered whether you should just do what Serena did, I want you to take a step back and ask yourself, what do I actually want for my body? Quick results or a lifestyle that makes me feel strong and powerful and confident for the long haul? And here's the gut punch. If Serena, with her discipline, her team, her entire life built around health and fitness, still felt like she needed a drug to change her body, what chance does the everyday woman have without it? That's the lie. That's the trap. And that's why we have to push back. DM me on Instagram at GetBuffWithReets and tell me what you think. Do you believe Serena's honesty was empowering? Or do you think it's actually dangerous? And if you want to see what sustainable strength actually looks like, check out the Buff Hub. It's my free resource library full of tools to help you get consistent without the shortcuts. I'll catch you in the next one.